I found his secret drawer. 7 women disappeared before me. Welcome to Mr. Douglas Tales. May wisdom guide your choices, courage strengthen your resolve, and truth illuminate even the darkest paths. In every story lies a lesson. In every struggle, a chance to rise. If these words resonate with your spirit, honor this moment with a like and subscribe to join our community of truth seekers. Now let me show you how she discovered the truth behind his perfect smile and the women who vanished before her. The door to the penthouse closes behind her. Not locked, just closed. She stands in the entryway listening to silence where voices should be. The event started 40 minutes ago. The charity gala he insisted she attend. The one where donors would see them together, where cameras would capture his hand at the small of her back, where he'd introduce her as his partner to everyone who mattered. She'd left early to change into the dress he'd chosen. Red silk, still in the garment bag. Upstairs. The marble feels cold through her heels. She doesn't move further into the apartment. His jacket hangs on the chair by the door, the same chair where he always leaves it when he comes home before her, which means he came back, which means he left again without calling. She pulls her phone from her purse. No messages. She scrolls up. His last text came 3 hours ago. Wear the red one. I want them to see you. Her thumb hovers over his name. She lowers the phone. The apartment stretches ahead of her. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, lights beginning to glow as dusk settles. Everything pristine, everything in place. The cleaning staff came this morning. She can still smell whatever they use on the glass. She walks to the kitchen island. Her invitation sits there exactly where she left it this morning. Embossed lettering. Her name printed beneath his. His invitation is gone. She opens the drawer where he keeps his keys. Empty. She already knew it would be. Some elevator chimes in the hallway outside. She turns toward the sound, but the doors don't open. The light above the call button goes dark. Someone stopped on a different floor. She looks back at the invitation on the counter, picks it up. The paper is heavier than it needs to be, the kind that announces expense without stating it. She sets it down again, perfectly aligned with the edge of the marble. Her phone vibrates. A text from Simone, his publicist. You're missing photos. Everything okay? She types, running late. Be there soon. She doesn't send it. Instead, she deletes it and writes, not feeling well. Please send my apologies. She sends that one. The response comes immediately. He'll want to know you're all right. Should I tell him you're home? She stares at the message. He already knows she's home. He came back here. He left his jacket. He took his invitation and his keys and went back to the gala without her. She types, don't bother him. I'll text him myself. She sets the phone, face down on the counter. The apartment is too quiet. She walks to the living room, her heels clicking against marble, then silent on the rug. The curtains are open. He never closes them, says the view is why he bought this place. 73rd floor. Nothing above them but sky. She stops at the window. Below, the city moves. Cars, people, lives happening in real time, all of them unpaused. Behind her, the apartment waits. She turns back to the room. Everything looks the way it did this morning. The throw pillows arranged by the decorator. The books on the coffee table that no one reads. The orchid on the side table that gets replaced every 2 weeks by someone she's never met. She sits on the sofa. Her dress, the one she wore to lunch with his mother yesterday, still fits the same way it did then. The zipper sits exactly where it should. The hem falls to the right length, but his mother had looked at it for 3 seconds too long before saying it was lovely. Lovely. Not perfect. Not beautiful. Lovely. She'd smiled and thanked her and spent the rest of lunch answering questions about her family, her education, her plans. His mother had listened with the kind of attention that felt less like interest and more like assessment. At the end, she'd patted her hand and said, "He seems happy." Not you seem happy. Not you're good together. He seems happy. She'd nodded and said, I hope so. His mother had smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Now, sitting in the apartment that still doesn't feel like hers even after 8 months, she wonders what that smile meant. The phone vibrates again. She doesn't look at it. Instead, she stands and walks to his study. The door is open. It's always open when he's not home. He closes it when he's working, but otherwise it stays accessible. She can go in any time. He's told her that. But she never does. She stands in the doorway now. The desk is clear except for a lamp and a laptop closed. The bookshelves hold legal texts, business, journals, framed photos from events where he stands next to people whose faces she recognizes from news coverage. She's not in any of the photos. Not yet. He said he'd add one after the engagement. Once it's official, he'd said, I want you everywhere. She'd kissed him and ignored the part of her that noticed he'd said, I want you everywhere instead of you belong everywhere. She steps into the study. The laptop sits centered on the desk. She doesn't touch it. Next to it, a drawer, unlocked. He told her once that he doesn't lock anything in the apartment. I don't keep secrets from you, he'd said. She believed him. She still does. But she opens the drawer anyway. Inside, pens, business cards, a leather folder. She lifts the folder. It's thin, nearly empty. She opens it. A single document, printed on law firm letterhead. She reads the first line, then the second. Then she stops reading and closes the folder and puts it back in the drawer exactly where it was. Her hands are steady. That surprises her. She leaves the study and walks back to the living room and sits on the sofa and picks up her phone. 17 missed calls. All from Simone. 3 texts from numbers she doesn't recognize. 1 voicemail. She plays the voicemail. Simone's voice, tight with something that isn't quite panic, but isn't calm either. Listen, I don't know what's going on, but people are asking questions. If you're coming, you need to get here in the next 20 minutes. If you're not coming, I need to know now so I can manage this. Call me back. She deletes the voicemail, then she opens her messages and scrolls to his name and types. I found the folder. She doesn't send it. She deletes it and writes, Why didn't you wait for me? She doesn't send that either. Instead, she stands and walks to the bedroom. The garment bag hangs on the closet door, still zipped. She opens it. The red dress looks exactly like it did when he brought it home 3 days ago. He'd held it up and said, This is the one. Not a question. A statement. She'd nodded and thanked him and hung it in the closet and told herself it was thoughtful, not controlling. Now she lifts it from the bag. The silk is heavier than it looks. The neckline is lower than anything she'd choose herself. The slit runs higher than feels comfortable. She lays it on the bed. Then she walks to her own section of the closet, the side he cleared for her when she moved in, the side that takes up maybe 1/5 of the total space, and pulls out a black dress, simple, long sleeves, hemmed to the knee. She changes quickly, stepping out of the dress she wore to lunch and into the black one. The zipper catches halfway up her back. She reaches behind herself, twisting, pulling. It won't budge. She stops, breathes, tries again. The zipper slides up. She looks at herself in the mirror. The dress fits well enough. Professional, appropriate, nothing like what he wanted. She picks up her phone and calls a car. While she waits, she walks back to the living room and looks out the window one more time. The city hasn't changed, still moving, still lit, still indifferent. Her phone buzzes. The car is downstairs. She grabs her purse and leaves the apartment, pulling the door closed behind her. In the elevator, she stands alone. The mirrored walls reflect her from 3 angles. She looks tired. She looks composed. She looks like someone who knows exactly where she's going. The lobby is empty except for the night attendant. He nods as she passes. She nods back. Outside, the car waits. The driver opens the door. She slides in and gives him the address. He pulls into traffic without asking questions. She watches the buildings pass, lit windows, darkened offices, restaurants filled with people who aren't thinking about folders in unlocked drawers or invitations left behind on purpose. The gala venue appears ahead, a historic building wrapped in lights, red carpet stretching from curb to entrance, photographers clustered behind, velvet ropes. The car stops. The driver looks at her in the rearview mirror. Here? She looks at the entrance, at the photographers, at the door where guests are still arriving in pairs, couples, groups. No, she says. Keep going. He pulls back into traffic. Where to? She opens her phone and scrolls through her contacts until she finds a name she hasn't called in months. Before she moved into the penthouse, before she stopped having time for coffee that wasn't scheduled 3 weeks in advance. She hits call. It rings 4 times. Then, hello? It's me, she says. Are you home? A pause. Then, yeah, you okay? Can I come over? Of course. Now. She gives the driver the address. He changes lanes, heading west. She hangs up and stares out the window. The document in the folder had been a list. Not names. She hadn't read far enough for names, but numbers, dates, settlements, all from the same law firm, all labeled prior domestic termination agreements, 7 of them. She'd stopped reading after seeing the date on the first one, 3 years ago, long before he'd told her he was ready for something serious, long before he'd said she was different from anyone he'd dated before. The car turns onto a quieter street. Brownstones, tree-lined, lights in windows that look warm instead of expensive. They stop in front of a building she recognizes. She pays the driver and gets out. The door to the building is unlocked. She climbs the stairs to the 3rd floor and knocks. The door opens. Her friend stands there in sweatpants and an old college shirt, hair pulled back, face free of makeup. She looks at her for a long moment. "Come in," she says. She steps inside. The apartment is small, cluttered, a coffee table covered in magazines and takeout containers, a couch that's seen better years, everything familiar in a way the penthouse has never been. "You want tea?" her friend asks. "Sure." She sits on the couch while her friend moves to the kitchen. The sound of water running, the click of the stove igniting. "So," her friend calls from the kitchen. "What happened?" She looks down at her hands. She's still holding her phone. "I don't know yet," she says. Her friend appears in the doorway. "But something did." She nods. "Does he know you're here?" "No." "Does he know you left the gala?" "He wasn't there when I left. He went without me." Her friend leans against the doorframe. "Without you. I was supposed to meet him there. I came home to change. He'd already left. Without calling. The kettle whistles. Her friend disappears back into the kitchen. She returns with 2 mugs and hands one over. She wraps her hands around it. The heat feels good. "How long have you been having second thoughts?" her friend asks. She doesn't answer right away. She takes a sip of tea. Too hot. She sets it down. "I'm not," she says. "I don't think I am. But I found something today." Her friend sits in the chair across from her. "What kind of something?" "A legal document. In his desk." "What did it say?" She picks up the tea again, holds it without drinking. "I didn't read all of it, just enough." "Enough for what?" "Enough to know he's done this before." Her friend is quiet for a moment. Then, "Done what before?" "This. All of this. The relationship. The public appearances. The moving in together. That's not illegal." "No." "But the way it ended was." "What do you mean?" "The document was a settlement. For a prior relationship, there were 7 of them." Her friend sets down her mug. 7. Jesus. She nods. They sit in silence. Outside, a car passes. Someone laughs on the street below. "What are you going to do?" Her friend asks. I don't know. You could leave. I could. But you're not going to. She looks up. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Her friend leans forward. Listen, I'm not judging. But I've known you long enough to recognize when you're already committed to seeing something through. I'm not committed to anything. Then why are you here instead of confronting him? She doesn't have an answer for that. Her friend stands. You can stay here tonight. Guest room's a mess, but the couch pulls out. I should go back. Should you? She looks at her phone. No calls, no texts, nothing from him. He'll notice I'm gone, she says. Will he? She stands. I need to think. So think here. Stay the night. Deal with it in the morning. She hesitates. Her phone buzzes. She looks at the screen. A text from him. Where are you? She types. With a friend. Needed space. His response comes immediately. What friend? She stares at the message. Not are you okay? Not what's wrong. What friend? She doesn't respond. Another message. I'm leaving the gala. We need to talk. She types, tomorrow, tonight, tomorrow. She turns off her phone. Her friend is watching her. What did he say? He wants to talk. And you said? Tomorrow. Her friend nods. Good. Now sit down and drink. Your tea before it gets cold. She sits. She drinks. The tea is already cold. She doesn't sleep. The pull-out couch is fine. The blanket is warm. The apartment is quiet. But every time she closes her eyes, she sees the document. The dates. The numbers. 7 settlements. 7 women who came before her. 7 relationships that ended with lawyers instead of conversations. At 3 a.m., she gets up and stands by the window. The street below is empty. A single light on in the building across the way. Someone else awake. Someone else dealing with whatever keeps people up at this hour. She turns on her phone. 43 messages. She doesn't read them. Instead, she opens her browser and types his name into the search bar. The results are what she expects. Business profiles, charity events, photos from galas and fundraisers. In most of them, he's alone. In some, there's a woman beside him. Different women, different events, different years. She clicks on one photo. It's from 2 years ago. He's wearing a tuxedo. The woman next to him is blonde, tall, stunning in a way that looks effortless. They're both smiling. She clicks on another photo. 3 years ago. Different woman. Brunette this time. Same smile on his face. Same hand at the small of her back. She keeps clicking. 4 years ago. 5, 6. Different women. Same posture, same positioning, same smile. She stops on a photo from 7 years ago. The woman in this one is younger than the others, early 20s maybe. She's looking at the camera, but he's looking at her. She closes the browser. Behind her, her friend's bedroom door opens. Footsteps in the hallway. Then her friend appears, wrapped in a robe, hair messy from sleep. Can't sleep? She asks. No. Her friend sits on the arm of the couch. Googling him? How did you know? Because that's what people do at 3 a.m. She sets the phone down. There were others, before me. You knew that. Not like this. Her friend is quiet for a moment. Then, what did you find? Photos from events with different women. That's not unusual. He's been single before. It's not that. It's the way he looks in them. It's the same. Every time. Same smile, same posture, same positioning. You think he's following a pattern. I think he's perfected one. Her friend stands. Come on, you need to eat something. I'm not hungry. I didn't ask. They go to the kitchen. Her friend makes scrambled eggs and toast. They eat in silence at the small table by the window. When they're done, her friend says, "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to go back. And then? And then I'm going to ask him about the settlements. What if he lies? Then I'll know. And if he tells the truth, then I'll know that too." Her friend nods. "You want me to come with you?" "No, I need to do this alone. Call me if you need anything." "I will." She won't. She takes a car back to the penthouse at 7 a.m. The city is waking up, people heading to work, coffee shops, opening. The same routine that happens every morning, indifferent to who slept well and who didn't. The car stops in front of the building. She pays and gets out. The lobby attendant is different from last night. Day shift. He nods as she passes. She nods back. In the elevator, she watches the numbers climb. 73 floors. Plenty of time to change her mind. She doesn't. The elevator opens. She walks to the door. It's unlocked. She steps inside. He's sitting at the kitchen island, coffee in hand, still wearing last night's shirt with the top 2 buttons undone. He looks tired. Good. He should be. He sets down his coffee when he sees her. Where were you? I told you, with a friend. Which friend? Does it matter? He stands. Yes, it matters. You disappeared in the middle of an important event. You turned off your phone. You didn't come home. You left without me. You were taking too long. I was changing into the dress you chose. The event started at 7. You should have been ready by 6:30. She sets her purse on the counter. You could have waited. I had commitments. So did I. He picks up his coffee, takes a sip, sets it down. This isn't like you. What isn't? Being difficult. She almost laughs. Almost. Instead, she walks to the living room and sits on the sofa. He follows. We need to talk, he says. I agree. He sits in the chair across from her, not next to her. Across. Like an interview. Like a negotiation. Last night was embarrassing, he says. People were asking about you. I had to make excuses. What did you tell them? That you weren't feeling well. That was the truth. Was it? She looks at him. Really looks at him. The same face she's kissed. The same hands she's held. The same voice that told her she was different. I went into your study yesterday, she says. Something flickers across his face. Brief. Almost imperceptible. Then it's gone. Okay, he says. I opened your desk drawer. Also okay. I told you I don't lock anything. I found a folder. He doesn't respond. A legal folder, she continues. From your attorney. Still nothing. It had documents inside. Settlement agreements. He leans back in his chair. And? And I want to know what they're for. They're exactly what they sound like. Which is? Termination agreements for prior relationships. 7 of them. Yes. She waits for more. An explanation. A justification. Something. He just looks at her. Why 7? She asks. Because there were 7 relationships that required settlements. Required or chose? Both. What does that mean? He picks up his coffee again. Drinks. Sets it down with the same deliberate care as before. It means that sometimes relationships end messily, and when they do, it's cleaner to formalize the terms. Cleaner for who? For everyone involved. Did they want settlements? They wanted compensation. I provided it. For what? For their time, their discretion, their willingness to move forward without complications. She feels something cold settle in her chest. You paid them to go away quietly. I paid them to protect both of our interests. Both? Mine and theirs. What interest did they need protecting from? He sighs. You're being naive. Explain it to me then. He stands, walks to the window, looks out at the view he paid for. When you're in my position, relationships become complicated. People have expectations. They have lawyers. They have families who think they're entitled to things. What things? Money. Access. Status. He turns to face her. I've worked hard to build what I have. I'm not going to let anyone take it without terms. So you preemptively create those terms? Yes. Before the relationship even ends. Sometimes, she stands. Do you have one for us? He doesn't answer. Do you? She repeats. Not yet. But you will. If it becomes necessary. What would make it necessary? That depends on how things go. She walks to the window, stands next to him, looks out at the same view. What happened to the women before me? They left. All 7 of them. Yes. Why? Different reasons. Name one. Incompatibility. And they all required legal settlements to leave incompatible relationships? They required incentive to leave without causing problems. What kind of problems? He turns to her. The kind that damages reputations, that involves media, that costs money and time and energy to resolve. So you pay them to disappear. I pay them to move on. She looks at him. At the face she thought she knew. The face that smiled in all those photos with all those women who came before her. Am I different? She asks. From them? Yes. He reaches for her hand. She lets him take it. His grip is warm, familiar, exactly the way it's always been. You're still here, he says. It's not an answer, but it's enough to tell her what she needs to know. She pulls her hand away. I need time to think. About what? About this. About us. There's nothing to think about. Either you trust me or you don't. I don't know if I do. His expression hardens. Then maybe you should figure that out. I'm trying. Somewhere else. She looks at him. What? If you need time to think, do it somewhere that isn't here. I don't want this energy in my home. Your home. Yes, I live here. You stay here. There's a difference. She feels the cold thing in her chest spread. You want me to leave. I want you to make a decision. If you're in, you're in. If you're not, then you need to go. Those are my options. Yes. She walks to the bedroom. He follows. She pulls her suitcase from the closet, starts packing. Not everything, just enough. He watches from the doorway. She zips the suitcase, lifts it, carries it past him. At the door, she stops. For the record, I was in. Was. She leaves. She stays with her friend for 3 days. He doesn't call, he doesn't text. On the 4th day, she gets a message from Simone. He wants to see you. Says it's important. She doesn't respond. On the 5th day, a different message. Please. He's asking me to schedule a meeting. Just talk to him. She types, I don't have anything to say. He does. Then he can say it through you. That's not how this works. She almost laughs. Almost. Instead, she blocks Simone's number. On the 6th day, a package arrives at her friend's apartment. No return address. Inside, a folder. The same folder from his desk. She opens it. All 7 settlement agreements. Complete. Unredacted. And a note. Handwritten. You wanted to know. Now you know. She reads the first agreement. Then the second. Then all of them. Each one the same structure. Payment. Non-disclosure. Non-disparagement. Relinquishment of any claim to property, assets, or future earnings. But there's something else. A clause near the end of each agreement. Standard language. The kind you'd skip over if you weren't looking for it. A clause about children, specifically the relinquishment of parental rights to any children conceived during the relationship. She reads it again to make sure she's understanding correctly. She is. Every agreement includes custody terms, which means every relationship involved children. 7 settlements, 7 women, 7 children. She sets down the documents. Her friend finds her an hour later, still sitting on the floor of the guest room, papers spread around her. What is all this? Her friend asks. She doesn't answer. Her friend picks up one of the agreements. Reads. Her face goes pale. Oh my God. Yeah, he has kids? Had. They signed away rights. Can you even do that? Apparently. Her friend sits on the floor next to her. Why would they agree to this? Money, probably a lot of it. But they're children. I know. They sit in silence. Finally, her friend says, What are you going to do? I don't know. You could go to the press. I signed an NDA. When? When I moved in. He said it was standard, to protect both of us. Did you read it? Not closely enough, apparently. Her friend picks up another agreement. These are dated months apart. He was moving fast. He always does. Did any of them ever fight it? She shuffles through the papers until she finds one with notes in the margin. Legal annotations, a judge's signature. This one went to court. And? She lost. Her friend sets down the paper. Jesus, his lawyers are better. That's not the point. No, but it's the reality. Her friend stands. You need to talk to someone, a lawyer, someone who can tell you what your options are. I know what my options are. Do you? Stay and become number 8, or leave and hope he doesn't come after me. There has to be something else. There isn't. Her phone buzzes. A text from a number she doesn't recognize. This is his attorney. We need to schedule a conversation. She deletes it. Another text immediately. Ignoring this won't make it go away. She blocks the number. Her friend is watching her. What was that? His lawyer. What did they want? To talk. About what? Probably the same thing these agreements are about. Her friend's face goes even paler. You think you're pregnant? No. Are you sure? I'm sure. Then what do they want? She looks down at the papers, at the signatures, at the dates. Control. She goes back to the penthouse on the 8th day. Not because she's ready, because she's angry. The door is unlocked. She walks in without knocking. He's in the living room on the phone. He sees her and holds up one finger, keeps talking. She sets her suitcase down and waits. He finishes his call. Ends it without saying goodbye. Looks at her. You're back. Temporarily. 4? Answers. He gestures to the sofa. Sit. I'll stand. Suit yourself. She stays by the door. Why did you send me the agreements? You wanted to see them. I wanted you to explain them. They explain themselves. The custody clauses don't. He doesn't react, just watches her. You have 7 children, she says. No, I don't. The agreements say otherwise. The agreements say there were pregnancies. That's different from having children. She feels the cold thing in her chest turn to ice. What does that mean? It means that sometimes termination agreements include termination options. Options. Yes. For what? He doesn't answer. She takes a step closer. For what? For pregnancies. She stops. You paid them to get abortions. I paid them to make choices. What choices? Whatever choices they wanted to make. With your money as incentive. With my money as support. That's not support. That's coercion. He stands. I didn't force anyone to do anything. You paid them to disappear, along with your children. They weren't children. They were pregnancies, and they made their own decisions. Decisions you bought. Decisions I facilitated. She walks to the window, looks out. The city looks the same as it always does. Indifferent. Behind her, he says, Why are you really here? I told you. For answers. You have them now. She turns. Do I? What else do you want to know? Why? Why what? Why do this? Why not just be honest from the beginning? About what? About what you want. About what you're willing to give. He walks to her, stops close enough that she can see the details she used to find attractive. The sharp line of his jaw, the clear eyes, the confidence that never wavers. I am honest, he says. I tell every woman exactly what she's getting into. You told me I was different. You are. How? You're still here. Barely. But you came back. She doesn't respond. He reaches out, touches her face. You're stronger than the others. You can handle this. She steps back. His hand falls. Handle what? She asks. The truth. The reality of what this is. Which is? A partnership. A mutually beneficial arrangement. Arrangement. Yes. Not a relationship. Relationships are arrangements. I'm just more honest about the terms. She walks to the door, picks up her suitcase. Where are you going? He asks. Away from you. For how long? Permanently. He follows her to the door. You can't just leave. Watch me. You signed an agreement. She stops, turns. What agreement? The NDA, when you moved in. That was about privacy. Read the fine print. It's about more than that. She sets down the suitcase. What does it say? It says you can't talk about our relationship, in any capacity, to anyone. Or what? Or you'll be in breach, and breach has consequences. Financial consequences. Among other things, she picks up the suitcase again. I don't care. You will when my lawyers come after everything you have. I don't have anything. Your family does. She stops. What? Your parents. Your sister. They have assets, savings, property. You can't touch them. I can if they benefited from your breach. They haven't benefited from anything. They will if you run to them, if you tell them what you found, if they give you money or shelter or support based on information covered by the NDA. She stares at him. You would sue my family. I would enforce the agreement you signed. I didn't know what I was signing. Ignorance isn't a defense. She opens the door. Goodbye. Think about what you're doing. I have. She walks out. Behind her, he calls. You'll regret this. The door closes. She doesn't look back. She stays at a hotel for 2 weeks. Burns through her savings. Applies for jobs. Gets rejected from most of them. When people search her name, the first result is still a photo of her and him at a gala 6 months ago. On day 15, her sister calls. I got a letter, her sister says. What kind of letter? From a law firm. They're asking questions about you. The ice in her chest returns. What kind of questions? About money. About whether I've given you any. About whether you've told me anything about your relationship. What did you say? Nothing. I hung up and called you. Don't talk to them. What's going on? I left him. I know. You told me that 2 weeks ago. His lawyers are trying to enforce an NDA I signed. An NDA about what? About our relationship. About what I know. What do you know? She almost tells her. Almost. Then she remembers the clause, the one about third parties benefiting from disclosure. Nothing I can tell you, she says. Why not? Because if I do, they'll come after you too. Her sister is quiet. Then, how bad is this? Bad enough that you need to stop answering calls from numbers you don't recognize. For how long? I don't know. What are you going to do? Figure it out. How? I don't know yet. Her sister sighs. Do you need money? No. You sound like you need money. I can't take it. If I do, they'll use it against both of us. That's insane. That's the agreement I signed. You should talk to a lawyer. I can't afford one. I can help. No, you can't. That's the problem. They sit in silence. Finally, her sister says, I'm sorry. It's not your fault. Still, I'll figure it out. Call me if you need anything. I will. She won't. On day 20, she gets a call from a number she doesn't recognize. She almost doesn't answer, but something makes her. Hello? Is this her? A woman's voice. Unfamiliar. Who is this? Someone who saw you with him. Someone who was where you are now. She sits up. What do you want? To help. How? By telling you what he doesn't want you to know. Which is? That the agreements aren't enforceable. Not the way he says they are. How do you know? Because I fought one. And I won. She stands, walks to the window. What's your name? It doesn't matter. It does if I'm supposed to trust you. A pause, then, fine. I'm number 4. She stops breathing. You read the agreements, the woman continues. You saw the dates. You know which one is mine. How did you find me? I've been watching, waiting to see if you'd be different. Different how? Different enough to fight back. I'm not fighting. I'm just trying to leave. That's the first step. To what? To taking him down. She almost hangs up. Almost. I'm not interested in revenge. Neither was I. But then I learned what he's really doing. Which is? Using these agreements to silence women who know too much. About what? About the pattern. About the others. About what he's building. What is he building? A system. One where he can do whatever he wants and never face consequences. The settlements are the consequences. The settlements are the cover. They make it look like he's taking responsibility when really he's just buying silence. That's not illegal. No. But what he's doing with the children is. She sits back down. What do you mean? He's not just terminating pregnancies. He's ensuring they never existed in the first place. How? Medical records, birth certificates, legal documentation. He has people who make things disappear. That's not possible. It is when you have enough money. She doesn't respond. The woman continues. I fought my agreement because I kept my baby. Against his wishes, against his threats, against everything his lawyers threw at me. And you won. Not entirely. But I got enough. Enough to prove that the custody clause was unenforceable. Enough to keep my child. Why are you telling me this? Because you're next. And if you don't fight now, you'll end up like the others. The others signed willingly. Did they? Or did they sign because they were terrified? Because they believed him when he said he'd destroy their lives if they didn't? She doesn't answer. Meet me, the woman says. Let me show you what I have. I can't. Why not? Because if he finds out, he'll use it against both of us. He doesn't know I'm still in the city. He thinks I left years ago. But you didn't. No, I stayed. Because I wanted to see what he'd do next, and now I know. What's he doing? Building a case against you. For what? Breach. Defamation. Whatever he can make stick. I haven't done anything. You left. That's enough. That's not illegal. It is. If he frames it right. She stands again. Paces. When do you want to meet? Tomorrow. Noon. There's a coffee shop on West 47th. Upstairs seating. Come alone. How will I know it's you? You won't. Not until I want you to. The line goes dead. She sits in the dark hotel room and tries to decide if she's walking into a trap or a rescue. She goes to the coffee shop at 11:45. Upstairs is nearly empty. One older man in the corner reading a newspaper. A couple by the window. No one who looks like they're waiting for her. She orders tea. Sits at a table in the middle. Waits. At 12:03, a woman sits down across from her. 30s. Dark hair pulled back. Expensive coat. The kind of face that photographs well. She recognizes her from one of the photos she found online. Younger in the picture. Smiling. Standing next to him at some gala 4 years ago. You came, the woman says. You said you could help. I said I could tell you the truth. Isn't that the same thing? Not always. The woman sets a folder on the table. Different from the one he sent. Thicker. What is this? She asks. Everything he doesn't want you to see. She opens it. Inside, court documents, medical records, birth certificates. All with names redacted, all with dates that correspond to the settlement agreements. Where did you get these? She asks. I have a good lawyer. Better than his. That's not possible. It is when your lawyer actually cares about winning instead of just billing hours. She flips through the documents, stops on one, a birth certificate, unredacted name, mother's name clearly visible, the woman across from her. You kept your baby, she says. Yes. Where is he now? She. And she's safe. Does he know? He knows I didn't terminate. He doesn't know where we are. How is that possible? Because I disappeared properly. Changed my name, moved states, started over. Then why come back? Because he's getting worse. Worse how? Faster. The settlements used to be months apart. Now they're weeks. He's moving through women at an accelerating rate. Maybe they're not working out. Or maybe he's refining his system. System for what? The woman leans forward. Think about it. 7 settlements in 5 years. All with the same structure. All with the same outcome. He's not dating. He's testing. Testing what? How far he can push. How much he can control. How effectively he can make someone disappear. That sounds paranoid. Does it? Or does it sound like a pattern? She looks back at the documents, at the dates, at the intervals. What do you want from me? She asks. I want you to fight your agreement. Why? Because if you don't, he'll use it as precedent for the next one, and the one after that. He's building case law. Each settlement that goes unchallenged makes the next one stronger. I'm not a lawyer. You don't have to be. You just have to be willing to say no. I already said no. I left. That's not enough. You need to challenge the agreement itself. I can't afford that fight. I can. She looks up. What? I'll pay for your lawyer. I'll pay for everything. Why would you do that? Because I couldn't do it alone. But together, we can break the pattern. And then what? Then we go to the others, the ones who signed, the ones who disappeared, and we give them the option to come forward. They won't. Some will, if they know they're not alone. She closes the folder. This is insane. Is it? Or is staying silent insane? She doesn't answer. The woman stands. Think about it. You have my number now. Call me when you're ready. Ready for what? To stop being afraid. The woman leaves. She sits alone with the folder. Doesn't open it again. After 20 minutes, she picks it up and leaves. She doesn't call. Not the next day. Not the day after. Instead, she gets a job. Nothing glamorous. Administrative work at a non-profit. Pays enough to cover rent at a smaller apartment. Not enough to save, but enough to survive. She moves out of the hotel, into a studio in Brooklyn. 1 room. Shared bathroom down the hall. Nothing like the penthouse. She doesn't mind. Her sister calls every few days. She keeps the conversation short. Doesn't mention the folder, doesn't mention the woman. On day 40, she gets a certified letter from his lawyers. Notice of breach. Demand for payment. 30 days to respond. The amount is listed clearly. $2 million. She doesn't have $2 million. She doesn't have $2,000. She calls the woman. I need help, she says. I know. How? Because I got the same letter 4 years ago. What did you do? I hired a lawyer who wasn't afraid of him. Do you still have their number? I'll text it to you. The text comes through 30 seconds later. She calls the number. A receptionist answers. She explains the situation in broad terms. The receptionist puts her through. This is James Rothstein, a man's voice says. I need a lawyer. What kind of case? Breach of NDA, settlement agreement, possible fraud. Who's the opposing party? She tells him. There's a pause. Then, I've dealt with him before. Is that good or bad? Depends on what you want. I want him to leave me alone. That's not likely. Then what can you do? I can make it expensive for him to keep coming after you. How expensive? Expensive enough that he might decide you're not worth the trouble. Will that work? It has before. For who? A former client. Someone you might know. The woman who called me. I can neither confirm nor deny. But you know who I'm talking about. I know who sent you to me. Can you help? Yes. But you need to understand what you're signing up for, which is A fight, a long one, an expensive one. I don't have money? I know. That's already been handled. By who? A benefactor who wishes to remain anonymous. The woman. I can neither confirm nor deny. She sits on her bed, looks around the studio, at the single window, at the walls that aren't hers. What do I have to do? She asks. Come to my office tomorrow. Bring everything you have, every document, every email, every text. I deleted most of it. Bring what you didn't delete. When tomorrow? 10 a.m. I'll be there. She hangs up. Then she opens the folder the woman gave her and reads everything inside. The lawyer's office is in Midtown. 14th floor, clean, professional. Nothing flashy. She sits across from James Rothstein, mid-50s, graying hair, expensive suit worn casually. He reads through the documents she brought. Doesn't react, just reads. After 15 minutes, he sets them down. This is worse than I thought, he says. How? The NDA is overly broad. The breach clause is punitive beyond reason, and the custody terms in his prior agreements are potentially illegal. Potentially? He has good lawyers. They know how to walk the line. So I'm stuck. Not necessarily. What does that mean? It means we challenge the NDA on grounds of unconscionability. We argue you signed under duress, and we counterclaim for fraud. Fraud? He presented the agreement as standard privacy protection. It's not. It's a gag order with financial penalties designed to bankrupt anyone who breaches. Will that work? It should. But he'll fight. How? Discovery. Depositions. Motions. He'll try to bury you in process. Can you stop him? I can slow him down. And I can make it public. Public? If this goes to trial, it becomes a matter of public record, which means his prior settlements become discoverable. Would that help? It would show a pattern, and patterns are hard to defend. She looks at the documents, at her signature, at the date she signed. 8 months ago. A lifetime ago. What are my chances? She asks. Honestly? 50-50. That's not great. No. But it's better than 0. Which is what you have if you don't fight. And if I lose? You'll owe $2 million you don't have. He'll get a judgment. He'll garnish wages. He'll make your life difficult. More difficult than it already is? Yes. She stands, walks to the window, looks out at the city. Different view than from the penthouse. Lower. More honest. What would you do? She asks. If I were you? Yes. I'd fight. Why? Because men like him only stop when someone makes them. She turns. And you think I can? I think you have a better shot than most. Why? Because you're not alone. He opens a different folder. Inside, names, dates, contact information. What is this? She asks. The other women, the ones who signed settlements. How did you get this? My client has been collecting information for years. Your client being the woman. I can neither confirm nor deny. She looks at the list. 7 names, 7 women, 7 stories. Have you contacted them? She asks. Not yet. We wanted to wait until we had a case worth joining. And now you do. Now we might. What happens if they agree? We file a class action, argue systematic fraud, seek to void all the agreements. Would that work? It would certainly get attention. From who? Media, regulators, potentially law enforcement. You think what he's doing is criminal? I think some of it might be. The custody clauses especially. She sits back down. What do you need from me? Permission to file and a willingness to go public. Public how? Your name on the lawsuit, your story in the record. He'll destroy me. He'll try, but he might not succeed. That's not reassuring. It's honest. She looks at the settlement agreement, at the NDA, at the penalties. How long do I have to decide? She asks. He gave you 30 days. We should file within 20 to preserve the option. 20 days. Yes. And if I do this, then you fight. And whatever happens, you know you didn't go quietly. She picks up the folder with the names. Can I keep this? It's yours. She stands. I'll think about it. Don't think too long. She leaves the office. On the street, she opens the folder again. Looks at the names. 7 women. 7 chances to break the pattern. Or 7 more reasons to disappear. She doesn't decide for 10 days, spends them working. Coming home to the studio. Sitting in the dark. On day 10, her sister calls. They came to the house, her sister says. Who? His lawyers. They served Mom and Dad with a subpoena. The ICE returns. For what? Financial records, communications, anything related to you. What did they say? Mom cried. Dad called his lawyer. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. It is. I'm the one who left. You had to. Did I? Her sister is quiet. Then, what's really going on? She almost tells her. Almost. I can't explain. Why not? Because if I do, they'll come after you next. They're already coming after us. This would be worse. How? Just trust me. Her sister sighs. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. You need to do something. I know. Before this gets worse. I know. They sit in silence. I love you, her sister says. I love you too. She hangs up. Then she calls James Rothstein. I'm in, she says. You're sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. When can you come to the office? Tomorrow. 10 a.m. I'll be there. She hangs up. Then she opens the folder and looks at the names again. 7 women. 7 stories. 7 chances. She starts with number 4. The woman meets her at the same coffee shop. You decided? She says. Yes. And? I'm filing. The woman's face doesn't change, but something in her posture relaxes. Good. James says you've been collecting information. For 3 years. Why? Because someone had to. You could have gone to the police. With what? Settlements are legal. NDAs are legal. Even the custody clauses are legal if both parties consent. But they didn't consent freely. Proving that is harder than you think. So why do this? Because patterns matter. 1 agreement is a negotiation. 7 is a system. And you want to break it. I want to expose it. She looks at the woman, at the face that's been holding on to this for years. What's your real name? The woman hesitates. Then, Catherine. Thank you, Catherine. For what? For not disappearing. Catherine almost smiles. Almost. Neither did you. Not yet. You won't. How do you know? Because you're still here. They sit in silence. Then Catherine slides another folder across the table. These are the contact details for the others. Some I've reached, some I haven't. What did the ones you reached say? Most were scared. A few were angry. One said she'd join if others did. What? About the rest? Still deciding. Like I was. Like you were. She opens the folder, looks at the names, addresses, phone numbers. What do you want me to do with this? She asks. Whatever you think is right. That's not helpful. No, but it's honest. She closes the folder. I can't promise they'll join. I know. I can't even promise I'll win. I know that too. Then what are you expecting? For someone to try. Catherine stands. I have to go. My daughter has ballet in an hour. How old is she? 3. Does she know about him? Not yet. Someday I'll tell her. When she's old enough to understand. What will you say? That her mother fought back. Catherine leaves. She sits alone with the folder. Then she opens it and starts making calls. 5 of the 7 women agree to talk. 2 refuse immediately. Of the 5, 3 agree to join the lawsuit. 2 want to think about it. James files the class action on day 19. The news breaks on day 20. The headlines are immediate. Billionaire faces class action over systematic NDA abuse. 7 women claim pattern of coercion and fraud. Former partners allege illegal custody terms in settlements. She reads them from her phone while sitting in her studio. Her sister calls. "I saw the news," her sister says. "Yeah." "You're one of them?" "Yeah." "Why didn't you tell me?" "I couldn't. You could have trusted me." It wasn't about trust. It was about protection. From what? From him. From his lawyers. From everything. Her sister is quiet. Then, "Are you okay?" "I don't know yet." "What can I do?" "Nothing. Just be there." "I am." "I know." They hang up. Her phone rings again immediately. Unknown number. She answers. "You made a mistake." His voice, calm, cold. "No, I didn't. You think you can win this. I think I can try. You'll lose everything. I already lost everything when I left you. You had a choice then. You don't now. Neither do you. We'll see." He hangs up. She sits in the dark and waits for whatever comes next. What comes next is discovery. Months of it. Requests for documents, depositions, interrogatories. His lawyers file motion after motion, trying to dismiss, trying to delay, trying to separate the claims. James fights everyone. The case moves slowly, then slower. 6 months pass, then 8. During that time, she works, pays rent, survives. The other women do the same. Catherine calls every few weeks, checking in, offering support. On month 9, one of the women drops out. Too much pressure, too much fear. The remaining 4 continue. On month 10, James gets a break. One of the prior agreements surfaces in another case. Different jurisdiction, different woman, same structure, which means there were more than 7. James files an amended complaint. The number grows to 12, then 15. The headlines return. Pattern of abuse expands. 15 women now claim systematic fraud. Billionaire's legal team scrambles as more victims come forward. She reads them and feels nothing. Not victory, not vindication, just exhaustion. On month 11, his lawyers make an offer. Full settlement, non-admission of wrongdoing, payment to all plaintiffs. The amount is substantial. James calls her. "They want to settle," he says. "For how much?" He tells her. She sits down. "That's a lot." "It is. What do you think?" "I think it's designed to make you go away." "Will it work?" "That depends on what you want. I want him to face consequences." Settlements don't provide that. What would? Trial, public record, testimony. How long would that take? Another year, maybe more. And if we lose? You get nothing. And you still have the $2 million judgment hanging over you. But if we win? You void the agreements, you set precedent, you make it harder for him to do this again. She looks around the studio, at the life she's built from nothing, at the space that's hers. "What would you do?" she asks. "I'd think very carefully about what you can live with." She thinks about it for 3 days. Then she calls Catherine. "They offered to settle," she says. "I know. I got the same call." "What are you going to do?" "I want to know what you're going to do." "I asked first." Catherine laughs. It's the first time she's heard her laugh. "Fair enough. I'm voting no." "Why?" "Because money doesn't change the pattern. It just makes it quieter." "What if we lose at trial?" "Then we lose. But at least we tried." "That's not very reassuring." "No, but it's honest." She hangs up and calls James. "We're rejecting the offer," she says. "All of you?" "I'll talk to the others." She does. 3 vote no. 1 votes yes. The case continues. Trial is set for month 14. 2 weeks before, his lawyers file a motion to exclude the custody clauses from evidence. They argue it's not relevant to the fraud claims. James argues it shows intent and pattern. The judge takes it under advisement. 1 week before trial, the judge rules. The custody clauses are admissible. His legal team files for an emergency appeal. Denied. 3 days before trial, one of the women gets a visitor, someone claiming to be a journalist, asking questions about her story, her motivations, her past. She calls James. "They're trying to intimidate us," she says. "I know. Don't talk to anyone. What if they publish something? Let them. It'll only make the pattern more obvious." The day before trial, she can't sleep. She sits in her studio and thinks about everything that led here. The gala she never attended, the dress she never wore, the folder she found in an unlocked drawer, the women who came before, the woman who stayed to fight. At 3 a.m., her phone rings. Catherine. "Can't sleep either?" Catherine asks. "No." "Nervous?" "Terrified." "Good. That means you care. What if we lose?" "Then we lose, knowing we tried. That's not enough." "It has to be." They sit in silence. "Thank you," she says. "For what?" "For calling, for fighting, for not disappearing." "Thank you for the same." They hang up. At 6 a.m., she gets dressed. At 8 a.m., she meets James outside the courthouse. At 9 a.m., they go inside. The trial lasts 3 weeks. His lawyers are good. Better than good. They challenge everything, every document, every testimony, every claim. But James is better. He presents the pattern, the timeline, the systematic nature of the agreements. He calls expert witnesses, legal scholars, former judges. He presents the custody clauses, the medical records, the birth certificates. The jury listens. On day 15, she testifies. His lawyer cross-examines for 6 hours, tries to make her look vindictive, opportunistic, bitter. She stays calm, answers every question, never breaks. When she's done, she looks at him. He's sitting at the defense table, face neutral, eyes cold. She holds his gaze. He looks away, first. On day 18, Catherine testifies. She brings her daughter, not to the stand, but to the courthouse, so the jury can see what he tried to make disappear. His lawyers object. The judge allows it. On day 20, closing arguments. James lays out the case one final time. The pattern, the fraud, the systematic abuse. His lawyer argues consent, mutual agreement, legal contracts. The jury deliberates for 2 days. On the 3rd day, they return. She sits in the courtroom, Catherine next to her, the other women behind them. The foreman stands. On the count of fraud, we find for the plaintiffs. She doesn't react. On the count of unconscionability, we find for the plaintiffs. Catherine reaches for her hand. On the motion to void the settlement agreements, we find for the plaintiffs. She squeezes back. The judge thanks the jury, sets a date for remedies. She walks out of the courtroom. Outside, reporters wait. She doesn't stop. Catherine does. "We fought," Catherine says to the cameras, "and we won." Later, at James's office, they discuss next steps. "He'll appeal," James says. "Let him," she says. "It could take years." "I have time," James smiles. "Yes, you do." She leaves the office. On the street, she pulls out her phone, texts her sister. "It's over. We won." The response comes immediately. "Come home. We're celebrating." She takes the subway to Brooklyn, to the studio that's been hers for 14 months. She packs a bag. Then she leaves. Not forever. Just for tonight. Tomorrow she'll come back. She'll go to work. She'll continue the fight through appeals and motions and whatever comes next. But tonight, she goes home. 6 months later, the appeals court upholds the verdict. His legal team files for Supreme Court review. Denied. The settlements are voided. The NDAs are unenforceable. The pattern is broken. She gets a call from James. "It's done," he says. "Completely?" "Completely." She hangs up. Then she calls Catherine. "Did you hear?" she asks. "I heard." "What now?" "Now we live." "Just like that?" "Just like that." They hang up. She sits in her studio. The same studio. She's lived in for nearly 2 years. She could move now, could afford something better. But she doesn't want to. This space is hers. She built this life. She fought for it. She's not leaving. Instead, she opens her laptop, starts writing. Not about him, not about the trial, about what comes after. about rebuilding, about moving forward. The words come slowly at first, then faster. She writes until morning. When she's done, she sends it to her sister. The response comes an hour later. "This is beautiful. What are you going to do with it?" She doesn't know yet, but she'll figure it out. She always does. 1 year after the verdict, she gets a letter. Not from his lawyers. From him. Handwritten. No return address. She opens it. "You won. Congratulations. But winning doesn't change who you are. You'll always be someone who needed me, and I'll always be someone who didn't need you." She reads it twice. Then she burns it. Not out of anger, not out of pain, but because it doesn't deserve space in her life. She goes to work, comes home, calls her sister. Lives. The studio is quiet. The city outside is loud. She doesn't mind either. She sits by the window and watches people move below. Lives intersecting, separating, continuing. She's one of them now. Just another person. Just another story. No longer defined by who she left, only by who she became after. The phone rings. Unknown number. She doesn't answer. It rings again. Still doesn't answer. On the third ring, she picks up. "Hello?" Is this her? A woman's voice. Young, uncertain. Who is this? Someone who just left him. Someone who doesn't know what to do. She closes her eyes, opens them. "Where are you?" she asks. The woman tells her, "Stay there, I'm coming." She grabs her coat, leaves the studio, takes the subway to Manhattan, meets the woman at a coffee shop. They talk for 3 hours. She tells her what she knows, what she learned, what she survived. The woman listens. At the end, she asks, "What should I do?" "Whatever you can live with." That's not helpful. No, but it's honest. The woman almost smiles. Almost. She leaves the coffee shop. Goes back to Brooklyn. Back to the studio. The message light is blinking on her phone. She ignores it. Instead, she opens her laptop. Adds to the document she started a year ago. The words come easier now. She writes until she's done. Then she sends it to the woman she just met. Subject line, "In case you need it." She closes the laptop, sits by the window, watches the city, lives. The pattern is broken, the women are free, and she is exactly where she's supposed to be, in a studio in Brooklyn, paying her own rent, living her own life, not defined by who loved her, but by who she became when she stopped needing that love to survive. The phone doesn't ring again. The door stays closed, the city keeps moving, and so does she. One day at a time, one choice at a time, one moment at a time, until the past becomes something that happened, not something that defines. She opens the window. The air is cold. She doesn't close it. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Mr. Douglas Tales, where powerful stories unfold one moment at a time.